You got back from the lens real quick there.
I was like, let me just wipe it real quick.
Let me wipe it. This is the kind of thing. It's always those last minute, always that last minuteness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listen, man, we got you for the 5th week in a row.
Yeah.
Privileged.
5th week in a row. Not holding back.
No hold bars.
Say that again.
No hold bars.
Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Oh, the right. Okay.
We'll take it.
This is a Meet the Thorpes moment.
I'm like, you sure?
I'm not gonna lie. What did we watch last?
We watched Tara at age 11 singing Cleopatra, coming at you.
That's when I thought I was going to be Beyonce when I was older.
Listen, it was good to see, man.
Matthew Kelly.
Listen,
I know he was really lovely to me.
He didn't.
I mean,
he didn't over squeeze or anything like that.
No, but he was really, really nice. He even gave. Do you know what? Now, when I tell Adrian's like, Tara is a bit mad because he gave us his car back to London from Manchester. Like, he was lovely.
Wow.
His driver. Like, there was no over squeezing. There was no extra hand holding. He was really, really lovely.
No. It was a pleasure to watch you. I mean, just as we're coming into we're culminating with the Thorpes, and I hope you guys will come back with us, and see us again.
Absolutely.
We just want to thank Kodjo again for having us and having you on the platform as well with us.
Thank you.
Guys, you're especially on a Friday night, man. If you want to be entertained by black people, watch Meet the Thorpes, mate. Watch Meet the Thorpes.
Some scariness you lot do, man.
We sat there, we watched it. And
the fart spray.
The fart spray was my favorite. So look for the fart video because the spitting that Adrian was doing out the window, he was not acting. That was real spit.
Again.
It was awful. It was awful. Again. The car stunk definitely for 3 weeks after that because I was spraying it in the back of the car and our seats are fabric. So the smell just stayed.
There, man.
No. I'd have been walking. I'd have just said, take the wheel. I'm out. I can't do smells at all. No. I cannot do that.
No. So we just want to thank you for joining us. And as I said, if you want a good laugh on a Friday night, maybe not this Friday because it's Good Friday, but the Friday after that. The Friday after that, if you want a good laugh, look out for Meet the Thorpes on YouTube.
And check us out.
Get a good laugh. Check them out.
Check us
Absolutely. Let's get straight into it, man. I know we are. Listen, we ain't gonna hold back. You ain't gonna hold back. It's about you, and we're talking today about riding the storm.
Yes.
Before you ride the storm, I just want to ask if you had to describe each other as a weather pattern. I mean, we don't have many here. We either have rain or sun. But just let's go global for a while. If you had to describe each other as a weather front, as a weather pattern, what would it be?
Say it in love.
What kind of season? What kind of temperament? What kind of temperature? All in love, though. On a general basis, how would you describe your partner?
So my one's going to sound cheesy, but I promise you I'm not trying to do the loved up stuff right now. But Adrian is like the sun, not in terms of it's too hot, but you see how people left their house today and they were enjoying it? That's Adrian. So typically he allows people to feel comfortable. Everybody loves Adrian. Adrian's the guy that everybody loves. And it's like, oh my gosh, why did he marry her? That's how happy Adrian is. Yeah, I'd say that.
Okay.
Go on, be honest, babe. No, wait, come on. Tropical rainstorm.
Rainstorm. I would say she's in between summer and winter.
What does that mean? I can't find a balance.
That just means sometimes here, sometimes you're there. But like England, we don't really know what the season is.
Okay.
You understand?
I like
British weather.
I hear that.
Kind of thing. Yeah. Okay.
That's me. This week. Hey.
I'm trying to focus this thing now. It's not looking. What have I done?
Gone the other
What have I
way.
done? What have I done? Right, listen, let me fix this before.
I think it's all right.
No, it's not. It's out of focus and I've got to fix it.
So as he's fixing it, today we are talking about riding the storm. So that's why I did the weather front situation. So we're talking about riding the storm. And storms are part of life. I'm doing like a morning devotion for an online pilgrimage at the moment. And we're looking at journeys and the difficulties in journeys. And people don't like to talk about the difficult parts of life, the difficult parts of relationships and marriage. But we've called it a storm because a storm doesn't always seem positive. But then after the storm, something great happens. Do you know what I mean? So that's what we're speaking on today.
Well, listen, let's be clear, guys. Before you, I'm gonna ask you a question, but let's be clear. A storm is not an argument. A storm is a period,
Yeah.
a long period of time where madness is happening. Thorpes, can you relate?
Yeah, 100%.
And sorry, just before you continue again, I want people to know that listening to your story, that they can be overcome, because I know a lot of we are in contact with people in response to these videos. They seem impossible. Go ahead.
Personally, yeah, together we can definitely relate to a storm.
Storms,
Storms,
plurals.
like I like the example that you've given there, that a storm is not an argument. An argument is an argument. You've got a choice, either to respond or to react. If you respond, you respond in the right way. If you react, it's going to be out of emotions and anger, probably. A storm is in a season, so
Back to back.
Yeah, it's just something that carries on. It lingers.
For a long period of time.
It's always there. You might know the reason. You might not know the reason. You might even not know you're in a storm until the end. You're like, rah.
Until you're out of it.
I look back and it's like, this is what was going on.
Mm.
Sometimes it's physical. Sometimes it can be spiritual. We've probably gone through both.
Yeah.
They're definitely not easy to go through. In our case, we're Christians, we're born again Christians, so we believe that there's always hope. Somewhere there is hope. There's always hope. And that's what we put our hope in. We put our hope in Jesus because we haven't got the answers, and we realized that a long time ago. As we've mentioned in previous episodes, we've gone through infertility issues. We've gone through
wanting to get divorced.
We've gone through health issues.
The car blowing up. Losing your job at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being homeless.
Yeah, we've been through a lot of it.
So yeah.
You could have been a part of that 45% that didn't make it, and it's not looking down on those who haven't. But I think being married is understandable how, in this age anyway, it's understandable how people do walk away, because it does seem impossible at the time. And sometimes, a lot of the time, those feelings they come and they go. So when we're in a storm, it does feel like this is not working. You know, I don't know if I listened to God, if she was the right one for me, if he was the right one for me. All these thoughts can come into your head. I'm really asking you, like, how did you kind of make your way through that period? You had storms. You know, one of the reasons why people are divorcing is because of financial disparity, disagreement, challenges, communication issues. How you push through that? And we've heard your story before, but give us an overview of that journey. I mean, you may be soon to be a minority, but statistically you should have made it as well. You know what I mean? But how did you get through that?
Every situation has been different, but I can touch on the financial strain. As a man, let me speak for myself. I tend to think maybe 2 to 3 years ahead. And sometimes when I try to plan, and in the months leading up, maybe 6 months, you're like, things are not going the way I planned them to go. I get into my head. I start thinking, what could I change? What can I do, or what haven't I done to make this possible? Sometimes there's nothing you can do, but in that time, you may act different I may act different towards Tara. So she may think I'm upset with her or whatever, but really I'm just thinking, I'm like, listen, there's the things I need to work out here. What can I change? What can I do? How can I maneuver? And sometimes that has been a strain on our relationship. Just me being in my head, and I've had to understand how to accommodate that thought process, but also catering for my wife. So not leaving her out, not exiling her, not making her stress. She still needs a husband. She's not just a wife over there in a partnership. How do you make you feel?
No, the way that we got through it, the storms, was through our family and friends and prayer. We have a big, and very no, that's a lie, not big. We have a small, strong community that has, the only way I can explain it is we're in the middle and they're just around us.
Yeah.
And the only way that I can visualize it or articulate that is by, we're in the middle suffering through all these seasons that we've been through, and they're just around us praying around in a circle. So we're very blessed to have the people that we have in our lives, because I don't know if we didn't have them, if we would be where we are now, because there were times where, especially when we wanted to get divorced, I definitely wasn't praying anymore, which I explained before. But I know that there's been times where you haven't prayed, do you know what I mean? Because it becomes overwhelming, and where we lack, they hold us up. So, yeah.
So community is essential in helping you get through the storms. Because my next question was, how or were you prepared before marriage? Did anybody tell you that there were going to be storms? Did you have an inkling? Did you see it in other people's relationships? Did anybody sit you down and say, well, this is life and there's going to be difficulties, and you work through them together? It's not a door to run out. It's actually a moment to allow you to grow. Did anybody school you about that before you got into marriage?
So definitely. So our pastor did, and his wife, he definitely spoke to us and was like, this is a lifetime thing. This isn't something that you jump in and you jump out of. Once you say I do, you're in this for life, until if one person passes, or, I wouldn't say that we had friends in front of us, because as we explained before, we were like one of the first in our friendship group to get married. But he told us, he spoke to us, but even though he spoke to us and basically drummed it into us, he thought he was drumming it into us, which he was, but I wasn't, personally for myself, I wasn't soaking in, because I didn't really realize what he was really talking about until we got married.
So it was that.
Is that because you were caught up in the feeling of the challenge?
One thing that I remember, the first person I've ever heard say was my pastor. He was like, yeah, it's all good. It's nice, we congratulate people that get married and see you on your wedding day. But what was it again? He was like, yeah, it's good when you see someone get married, but let me see you in 10 years from now. Let's see if you're still married. It's very easy to get married, very hard to stay married, right? But yeah, no, my head, I thought I was, like I said before, I thought that, marriage was this thing. And when I look back on my wedding video, I was not ready for marriage. My head was in the clouds. I was like, this is coming from someone that never grew up wanting a wedding, that never grew up wanting to get married. So my head was so far into the day and the way that I looked and the way that the day ran, I didn't think about what happens the day after and for the rest of my life. So I can only imagine what it's like for people that dream of this wedding day and, having a husband and blah, 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 blah. God knows where their heads are at. If that's where my head was, and I wasn't really interested did it in the first place, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I always remember when we went on our honeymoon, and I don't like moths and butterflies, right? I've been scared of them from I was
Same.
6. Same. See, it's too many similarities. Don't like them at all. And I just remember one was kind of trapped between like the screen door and the main door. And this is like day 4 of the honeymoon, and my voice was never raised before then. And I kind of raised it like, can you kill it? And it was like, Kurt was trying to gently let it out, you know, as a creature.
Because I care.
Because he cared.
I'm a nice
like,
guy.
You didn't kill it. You didn't kill it. And I just kind of remember him like looking like, who the heck are you? Do you know what I mean? 4 days in Antigua, screaming my head off at this butterfly. But it was interesting because, as you've just said, in that preparation period for marriage, if you haven't got the right circle around you, nobody's going to actually say to you, do you know what I mean? There's going to be difficult times in life, and you can together work through these, most of these by yourself. And sometimes you may have to bring in a third party. Do you know what I mean? But it's not spoken about. So you can get shocked. You can shock yourself, you know? So I'm following that question. I wanted to ask then, knowing what you know now, do you make preparations for storms?
So for me, I'll answer for myself. I never did before, but the last maybe 2 weeks, my prayer has been, God, let my prayers the prayers that I pray now, let them intercede for the season where it's really, really hard. So everything that I'm doing now, use this as my strength for when we go through a season. And that's only been of recent. We've been married for 8 years this year, and that's only been the last 2 weeks. So no, I've never really prepared until the last 2 weeks. I'm trying to, you know, like what we said before in one of the other videos, where you put in what you get out. No, you get out what you put in. Yeah. So spiritually, I'm trying to put in, when I need to withdraw, I can withdraw.
Yeah.
I remember my pastor preached a sermon, and he was saying how married couples, you need to, when there is a storm, you need to go to that your savings in a relationship. So whatever you've invested over the years, you need to be able to think, okay, now when we're beefing, or when there's a storm, when something's happened, let's go into that pot that you've invested into that relationship and draw stuff out. But if you haven't invested, there's nothing you can draw from, and that's where marriages crumble. That's where marriages fail, and you're like, we haven't got a friendship. Why are we even here? We don't even like each other like that. We don't even know God. We don't even trust each other. We don't, you know, and it's a spiral. So listening to that, I tried to prepare for a storm. Yeah. The only thing is you don't know what storm is ahead of you until you get there. Yeah. So you may have prepared for a financial storm, but then maybe someone dies, and then it's like, oh, I prepared for this type of storm, but that's not what I'm going through right now. So yeah, I think, you know, I would like to prepare for storms, and I've prepared for some storms, but what I've learned is every experience has been different and as challenging as the last. You just got to stay prayed up.
What does that mean? You know me already.
I was just going to ask.
You've got to be able to go to God in prayer, not last, but first. You've got to be able to say, look, God, I need your help because of X, Y, and Z. God, I need you to intervene in the places where I'm not seeing, the places that I can't physically get to. I need you to cover myself, my wife, my home, my car, you know, everything.
Can I ask you a question on this? This is an interesting topic for me now. When did you start praying in your marriage?
Together or
you? Just you. Do
you know what? Because it was on and off. It was on and off.
When did you start?
Yeah,
I really started when we was going to get divorced.
That's when you started
praying in the marriage for us, or for Just praying in general.
Praying for us properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when we were going to get divorced.
And what year was that?
Fourth
year.
2017.
Yeah.
What when we say we're praying to God, and you know, when we're saying we're praying to God about our marriage, we are struggling, and we're asking God for help. I'm just actually thinking, what are we really asking for? So I'm not questioning you as in to doubt you. I'm actually asking you to dig deeper into what it means to pray for your marriage. Because if God come down and let's say from Adrian's struggling, he's praying now, and everything he sees from Tara is a negative at this time, right? When he's praying to God, is he saying to God, turn these buttons in her heart without her permission and tune her so that she fits with me? Is that what what are we praying about?
So I don't believe that if you get married to someone, your role is not to change that person. Your role is to work together. Your role is to make each other better. Me personally, when I started to pray, I prayed to be the husband that she needs. And I've also prayed to be molded into the man God designed me to be. Because the man who I am, I know me. No one else knows me. I'm the only person who spends 24 hours with myself. So I know me. God, the Bible says your heart is wicked and deceitful. I know me. So God, I need you to change who I am, and I need you to make me who you designed me to be. And also you need to make me the husband that she needs and deserves. Because this is the most prized possession that you've allowed me to have. So I need to treat her as such.
And when did you get that revelation, Adrian, that it was you?
Revelation. What does that mean?
Sorry.
No, just ask.
Let me use another word. All right. When did it come to you? Man, that's just worse. When did you start to realize?
When did the penny drop?
that it was you that it was you that you had to pray for?
Well, when I couldn't do nothing, when what I thought was right wasn't working, I was just like, I can't do nothing. All right, cool. I'm just gonna have to go into prayer. And when I started to read about what a husband is, what love is, love is kind, love is all of these things. When you start to deep really what them scriptures are saying, like, I don't do that. What do you mean love is long suffering? So what? I'm just have to sit here like an idiot.
Yeah.
But you're like, God, you gotta help me, please, I beg, because there's nothing I can do. You don't want flowers, you don't want chocolates, you don't want holiday, you don't. So I mean, you can't physically do nothing. You can do all the things in the world, but if she doesn't accept it, then what? The only reason why I'm in a marriage is because of Jesus. I wouldn't have got married for any other reason.
Tara.
Yeah.
8 years in.
Nearly.
And nearly 8 years in. When's the anniversary?
May the 19th.
We're going to be on YouTube with you that day, so it's actually a really nice coincidence as well.
Is it?
No.
Front row seat.
Tara, then 8 years in, and you have to pray to God to help you still. Like, why are you still praying about it?
Because there's so many answers for this. So firstly, I realized a lot of the times I was praying for God to help me, it was kind of religious because I didn't really want it. I was just saying it. I was like, that's just the right thing to do. But not getting on to the right thing to do is to pray that, this is what I've been taught. You pray as a wife to be a better wife and whatever. But I didn't really want it because I wasn't ready to change. It's only been something over the last year where my prayers aren't selfish, because what Adrian said was he prayed that he could be a better husband for me. I just prayed that Adrian would be a better husband, period. Do you know what I mean? I was praying like, God, please, like, just show him. Like, if we had a disagreement or I felt like he offended me, as I go into that room, I'm like, God, you better talk to your son because he's just moving mad. I wouldn't look at myself. It's only the last year or so where I'll be like, God, you know what? Show me where I'm going wrong. No, at first it was help me. Before I wanted to be helped, but not really know what the issue was. But now I'm like, God, show me where I'm going wrong so I can change that, start to work on that so that I can be a better wife for him. So we are polar opposites. I was definitely praying that he'd be a better husband before I prayed about myself.
So where did you get I'm going to use the word revelation. Charlie. Where did you get the revelation that you needed to pray for yourself?
Honestly, it was like there was an aha moment. I was praying and I said it. And then I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, I ain't never prayed that before. And then I carried on praying it. And then there was even more changes. So after the 4 years, obviously, like we explained on the other video, you know, Adrian was praying over me and stuff like that. And we started working on our own relationships individually with God. So things were a lot better. But over the last year, I've been more focused on me personally rather than him. And yeah, it wasn't like an aha moment. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, yes, God gave me a word. No, I said it, and then I was like, oh, I've never said this before. Let me try and keep praying this, and let's see what happens. And it changed what was good to being better, to being great, should I say?
I was going to ask: is that for you both? Praying for yourselves, was that a pivotal moment?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at God.
You see, what you've just mentioned, there was something I was looking at about how to prepare for storms. And obviously it's talking about storms for life, but I'm thinking about, you know, when we used to watch those, we're showing our age, those old black and white films like Wizard of Oz, and then it used to turn into color 10 minutes into the movie. And there was a tornado. And I think Dorothy didn't get into the bunker. Well, I think she got knocked out. That's why she had that big dream about going to Oz. But she went. All I remember is in those kind of that part of America. I think it was Kansas. I don't even know if that's a real place.
Yeah,
I mean, I've never even seen it.
Yeah, they got them like underground bunkers, so they know they get the warning. They get ready, the food's down there, and they go and sit down there till the storm has passed. But I was just looking at a website called livepurposefulnow.com, and it talked about how to get through storms. And funny enough, you've mentioned all the parts of the storm, and the first one was to expect them. So initially, you knew that some kind of storm was going to come, and then it was like practice responsibility. So maybe where have I gone wrong? Maybe have we caused the storm, or has it just come upon us? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Then you spoke about, the next point was about leaning on friends, but you spoke about having a circle around you, which I suppose you fall back into, you lean on them anyway. And then having compassion on others. So that was you saying to us that you're not just saying, pray, you know, fix him, God. Actually, I'm going to have some compassion on him, and I'm going to fix parts of myself what can make his storm even easier to ride. And then the last point was obviously leaning on God. It says here a higher power, but the only higher source of power that we know is Yahweh God. You know what I mean? So it is so interesting that you actually, as you explained, that you went through all the 5 components of how these people have interpreted it. Succinctly, you went straight through it. Is there anything in addition that you would add to making it through a storm? So we've got 5.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I've got an addition, but I kind of just want to hammer the point. So for instance, we're going through a season right now. You know, I lost my nan in October, and me and Adrian were speaking about it today, and I was like, I've always been quite temperamental, I'm going to be honest, okay? Quite temperamental, like you said. I mean, between, what did you say, sun and winter and summer. You don't know where you're going to get, right? So we were speaking about it today, and I was like, genuinely, since losing my nan, I what was the word? I can lose it more often than what I'm doing. I can stay in bed every single day and not have to do nothing. I can be selfish and just think about myself. But when you get married, you got to go through that season together. So whilst I'm waking up every morning and I'm like, oh my gosh, my nan, she's my world, you know, she was like a mother to me. I have to also remember that I'm in a house with someone and I can't make his life hell because right now I'm going through something really tough. So I have to make the conscious decision where I want to snap or he'll say something. I'll be like, what are you talking about? I have to be like, Tara, check yourself. Even on Sunday, we was in church and he done something and I was like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And then I had to humble myself and I had to say, I'm sorry. Even though, rightly so, you could say, well, it wasn't about him. It's because she's going through what she's going through with her nan. Do you get what I'm saying? So I have to consciously every day make a decision that I'm going to get through today. I'm going to be mindful of his feelings because, yeah, this is my life partner. I can't make his life hell because I feel like I'm going through hell right now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So when you get into a marriage, it changes the perspective. I mean, sacrifices every day. Sacrifices every day. I could lose my temper every single day. I could say, do you know what? Forget it. I ain't getting out of bed for the next 2 weeks. Or I'm not working on Meet the Thorpes. Or I'm not even being kind anymore. I don't even need to be kind. People will understand where I'm coming from, right? But I can't because I have to respect him and honor him. And I don't want whatever's going on me to brush off on him. Because in marriage, when someone's going down, as a partner, you have to pull them up. But also, if you're going down, you don't pull them down with you, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It wasn't adding a point. It was just kind of reiterating that you have to be compassionate regardless whilst you're going through the season.
Yeah.
What it of?
No, you go.
I wanted to hit this.
Yeah.
We have a question for you. Wait there. The Dollar Queen, thank you for your question. At 7:54 p.m. Kojo's on it, man. How to know the difference between a hard moment that you push through or it being time to let the relationship go?
I mean, I feel like that's not something that I could answer because I haven't been in that situation with Adrian, as in letting the relationship go. I mean, there was a point where I was going to let it go and be like, yeah, deuces, I'm out. But I wasn't trying to push through it. There was no pushing through. It was just like surrenderance. I don't want it, like go away. But I've never got to a point where I'm pushing hard for something to work between us and it's not going the way that I need it to. Because you could say, I'll let it go when it doesn't work. But how do you know you haven't pushed enough for it to work? So I genuinely wouldn't know how to answer that question.
I mean, if we're going off of storms, to me, storms can happen in or out of a relationship. So that, for me, that's not a reason to be letting a relationship go. But you could be in a marriage and have a storm. You could be single and have a storm.
Yeah.
So if it's based on a storm, I don't think you let it go. That's not a reason I would let Tara go. When I married Tara, it is for a lifetime. So there's no other woman I'm ever gonna call wife. For me to let it go, obviously there may be some reasons, like if there's domestic abuse, and things of that nature, then I would say, look, you know what I mean? But an argument or a few arguments,
we're not seeing eye to eye for a while.
The only time. Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Only time we were going to get the divorce, it was because our vision had stepped away from Christ.
Oh.
Remember, the only reason why we're married is because of Christ. The moment we decided this is long, this marriage thing, it was when our vision was not on Christ. I was no longer, I wasn't there. I wasn't with Christ. I wasn't walking. I wasn't abiding. Do you understand? So,
what does it mean, just for those listening, what does it mean to have your vision on Christ, to abide, to walk with him? I mean, are we literally walking side by side? Jesus, does he come to your flat and you walk to the park? What does it mean to have your eye on him or take your eye off him? And how does that impact your relationship? What does that look like?
So living according to the Bible as much as you can, really. Making Christianity not just a Sunday accessory, but a lifestyle. I would say that's abiding. You know, doing what you can to honor God with your life. The moment you stop doing that, let's say you just go back to what you were doing, drinking, smoking, swearing, partying, sleeping with other people, just opposing God's word.
Living for yourself rather than and following what God says.
I believe, that's it.
Lovely.
I just wanted to put it out there that again, I don't know if I said this earlier on. Feelings can make one feel that it's time to end it. And if we go by where you guys are coming from, you should have ended many times over. And I said it respectfully. And when I look, Coach, I'd like you to try and answer this question as well, just after I make this point. But storms, I believe, can last sometimes for years. I don't think storms are necessarily predictable. Oh, this is only going to be for a week. I don't even consider that a storm as such. I think, and I've worked with, spoken to couples who for years just can't move past a certain, they're stuck in a place that is just repeating of cycles of behavior, of arguments, the same argument, the same way, the same level of aggression, and it never stops. And that can be a storm. It can last for years, but that doesn't mean that's the end point in trying to kind of address Adjo's question. Is it Adjo? No.
Go up.
Who is it?
The
Dollar Queens. Same. So it doesn't fully answer your question, but it just lets you know that it's impossible to put a defining moment on it.
It's like a rubber band, isn't it? It just you can keep stretching your capacity. So there isn't like that defining moment that says, right, that's it. Apart from what Adrian said, where if it's something like, you're experiencing domestic abuse, then that's like a cutoff point where your life is in danger. But to be honest, in a marriages, that's where you keep stretching beyond the capacity. Not that, like, as even what Paul says with grace, not that we take advantage of it, but actually in that stretching, you're both growing and loving each other more because you stretch beyond where you should have. Sorry, Kodja.
I didn't hear the question properly,
What's the question on the screen?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, for me, in regards to obviously defining hard moments, oh boy, it's gonna get through this personal real quick. Okay. I think a resident couple said it anyway when they're talking about things like abuse, cheating. Those are things that are instant red flags. And I personally would say, especially with abuse, like you got to go. Cheating, or he or she cheated is different. Cheating is an ongoing process. You are still in the midst of doing this thing. You got to go. Okay. So for me anyway, I think hard moments are, and I think again it was mentioned about arguments are things where we're disagreeing on, which can be very tumultuous. There's disagreements that you can have, which you're not seeing eye to eye, and you're looking at the person like, I don't know who you are. But I would classify those things as hard moments because they're things that can be worked out. But I think, you got to differentiate between red flag I got to run, and we're having an argument, we're disagreeing, we're not able to see eye to eye. We're even adding other people in terms of, let's say, a trusted advisor to be able to help us, and still we're not seeing eye to eye. I can see those being hard moments, and those are the things we can try and work out. But the red flags are gots to go. So for me, determining the two is that whenever you are in danger, and that can be emotional danger, it can be physical danger. Whenever you're in that kind of danger, for me, there's a need to kind of reassess whether this relationship is benefiting you, and two, whether it's safe to be in the midst of that person. So for me, hard moments, they come all the time. Storms are a part and parcel of relationships, marriage. They're all part and parcel of it. You're not gonna have a marriage or a relationship where you're gonna have everyday rainbows and bunnies running around, right? It doesn't happen. Right. So there's an air for reality and understanding that. But I think, and again, arguments are subjective again, because I've always said this: how are the people fighting within those arguments? Because it can quickly descend into verbal abuse. Yeah. So if we're doing verbal abuse, we need to be also looking at that. That's something that people need to be really taking to care. If your go-to is, some of us still got some edges to rub off. Like some of us have still got some, we've got the cutting technique. When you get to your words, you better throw them some curveballs, some slicing words, and those things can be worked around. And it's all about what that person's response is in those moments and how they come back from that. That will determine where you're thinking about this person's intentions, because that's what we're talking about really. Intent is intent. So for me, hard moments are things like arguments, stuff like that. But if you're out here cheating on the streets, if you're out here abusing me, you got to go. Okay, you got to go. Yeah.
Can you hit up the last question?
I want Vandross.
Last comment. Can you know about the possible storms, disagreements before marriage? Or how does one prepare? I hear some married people say they never argue.
I've never heard that in my life. Any married couple have never argued,
Congratulations.
Even relationship.
I've heard someone say that they never argue before.
Wow, they're blessed.
They were like, I never argue.
Yeah.
We never argue.
My reply simply is, you haven't argued yet.
Yeah, period. Yeah, period.
That's fine. You haven't argued. That's fine. You don't argue. You haven't had an argument yet.
But also, it's what people define as an argument. You might have people that don't scream at the top of their lungs, and they'll be like, I was really offended, and they'll be like, well, no, I don't understand why you were offended. Blah 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 blah. And it's very calm, and the tone is very low. And then you've got people that are like more passionate, like. And so it's what people define as arguing.
Also, some people are embarrassed when it comes to
facts.
It is. I mean, because you don't want to dampen a light on your other half. I certainly don't give a light of Tara as like an evil person. The stuff that she's saying is like, yeah, she's like that, but I still love her. So I'm never gonna be like, yeah, she's some witch. She's a witch. Never. Some people might sugarcoat it, like say, we don't have arguments, but we do have disagreements. Call it what you want. It's the same thing. Yeah, the same thing. Yeah. And you're gonna have it sometime because you're not perfect. You're both not perfect. You're two imperfect beings, and you can't agree on everything.
I know that Vandross did. He asked. I don't know when you joined, Vandross. We kind of tackled. Can you know about the possible storms and disagreements before the marriage? We said not specifically. We said you can prepare because somebody could tell you the truth and say this is not going to be rainbows and unicorns. You will come across difficulties. Christ said it himself, in this world you will have trouble, but take heart because I've overcome the world. So you will have difficulties because we're in something called life. And so that is not a surprise. But whoever is counseling you, whoever is in your trusted circle should be telling you, like, in this marriage, you're going to come across difficult periods. And this is how you prepare. So, for example, in counseling, we had 21 years ago, they said to us, maybe if you are in an argument, sit on his lap So sit on his lap, and you can't possibly be screaming at the top of your voice when you're sitting in each other's arms. I can still scream at the top of my voice and sit on his lap. But yeah, it was a good tip. Do you know what I mean? Or if he comes in cheesed off from work, how will I know? So say if he was wearing a hat, where would he place that hat? And that would tell me, oh, the hat's here. That means it's not a good time. Do you know what I mean? So stuff like that prepared us to a certain extent to know that storms would come, and we could use a few strategies. But actually, when the storms came, we realized that the roots weren't dug deep enough. And that's no fault of our own. It's just that you're just not prepared. I think you're prepared after several storms have happened, then your roots go deeper. And that's what happens. But I think you can have all the counseling, all the tips that you want and you can get before marriage. But until the storm hits, I don't think you're prepared for the next storm and the next storm after that. So you're learning on the job, mate. That's what I think it is. Totally learning on the job.
I think you can prepare before we go to the next question. Adjo for reals, firing them off. I think you can prepare. And I was going to ask you guys I'll save this question for you guys, to be honest. Let's go to this next question by Adjoa for real. How do you handle it if your partner isn't willing to push through with you? They aren't talking divorce, but they have separated themselves from the issue and aren't willing or do not care for a resolution. This is real, because not everybody has the capacity to ride. You know, like you see those people out there on the surfboards on the crazy waves. Not everybody does that at first, so it's a tough one. What do you do with someone? I mean, this is a question to you guys. What do you do with someone who's just not willing to? They've separated themselves from the issue. What would you say to that?
I think you can speak from experience. The difference I just didn't speak about divorce.
So with me, we both just grew apart at one stage, and there was divorce on the table. Now, I was like, I'm done. She was like, she's done. And I came to her and I said, listen, get out the yard, go back to your mum's yard, and that's it. Or get behind me, or
get a divorce.
We get a divorce.
I definitely counter offered him, just letting you guys.
And then it was just like she come with this fire talk, and I was like, what are you? Anyway, so that was it. So we both were butting heads, and it was clear that we both weren't in it. But I then got, I literally just, after going to a marriage retreat and speaking to a pastor, they just said, listen, why did you get married in the first place? Because that reason must still stand.
Good place to
she's
start.
Not a birthday. She's not a gift. She's not a birthday present that you can just throw away after you're bored. So after that, I said, okay, cool. Went back. I thought back. I said, okay, this is the reason. Do I feel the same way? Yeah. Am I annoyed? Am I angry at her? Yeah. What takes precedence? All right, cool. So I started to fight for my marriage. But how I fought was spiritually. It's all I could do, because I had done physical things. I had done the gestures, thinking, here's what you want. You want money? Do you want clothes? Do you want this and that? It wasn't working. It didn't help our marriage. It made her happy at the time.
But at this point, you was fighting for the marriage and I'd given up. Just to go back to the question,
yeah.
I wasn't willing to push through it, but he had a change of heart and wanted to.
So we were in the same house, didn't speak much. If one walked in the room, the other would walk out. I mean, there was little to no communication. Every morning I would get up. I wouldn't try to get up. I didn't set no alarms. I would be woken up about between 4 and 5 a.m. and I had an urge to pray. The first 2 or 3 times I was like, "Are you? What is going on? Why can I hear go pray for your wife?" I thought I was going mad. I thought, is that you, Satan? What's going on? On the fourth day, I woke up. I said, "Nah, this has to be." I'll go for my phone. I think it's the same time. I went into the room and I thought, very cautiously, because we were beefing, very, very cautiously, and I would just pray for her. After praying for her, I would go back into the living room and just pray for me to be the best person for her. Pray for God to help the situation, whatever it was, because I couldn't put my hand to it, my mind to it. I didn't know what to do. After a few months of doing that,
and at the same time, I was still separating myself from you, and I wasn't willing and didn't care for resolution.
Yeah.
So at this point, I still was over it.
So it seemed like there was no change for months, and I was doing the same thing. It seemed like there was no change. After a few months, things just changed. I can't tell you how long exactly, but I put it down to prayer. I put it down to prayer. It was all God. There was nothing that I did that could have changed.
What made you keep praying?
Hope. That was it. Hope.
Yeah, I love that. Kodja just disappeared for a minute, but we will continue. Blessed Beyond Measure has a serious question. It says, where is it now? What do you do if the storm caused some level of trauma that is harder to overcome than the storm itself? Am I reading it right? What do you do if the storm caused some level of trauma that is harder to overcome than the storm itself? I get that.
Trauma is a difficult one. Trauma to me is like a scar. So it can heal. It's always going to show, but it may show a bit different. It might not be as sensitive longer down the road. It will show up, but you've got to learn how to treat it. So it's there, but will you let it affect you? I remember I broke my arm. I got a massive scar on my arm for fighting years ago. And I used to, when I got the operation, I remember saying to my parents, they should have just amputated my arm. I hated it with a passion. And for about 10 years, I didn't show my arm in t-shirts. Always had a coat on. Any weather. Even when I met her in summer, I had a puffer jacket on. What I grew to do was, okay, the scar's there, but it doesn't change me. I'm not going to be embarrassed. It's a part of my body now.
Yeah.
So you just adapt. You do adapt. And I'm not saying that it doesn't hurt, because I don't like the scar, but it's a part of me. Will it affect anything I'm doing? No, not really. Some people may look, but I try to let that affect me.
But I think the difference is trauma isn't just a scar.
Of course.
It's there's something there. There's, someone can do something and it brings back that trauma. So let's say Adrian cheated on me, right? I've forgiven the action, right? We're back together. And the trauma is actually worse than the storm itself, because now this is something that I have to deal with daily. So I would say, once you've got through the storm and then you're reminded of the trauma, and it's like almost like PTSD, you have to remind yourself, okay, I've forgiven this person. I forgave him. I have to remind myself. You'd have to remind yourself daily if you have. I'm not saying that this was the situation for you, but you just have to remind yourself that you're not in that storm anymore. And the trauma that's been caused, every day you have to get up and make a decision that, yeah, it hurts me, but I've forgiven it and I'm moving through it.
I love that.
I like that. I think people need to know that forgiveness is not a one-off event where you have resolved all your feelings. No. Tomorrow you wake up could be with the same level of hate as the day before. Forgiveness is a daily decision. Couple of questions, and I have maybe two for you, and I think I think that might be. Geraldine Young said, "I say harass God in prayer, show extra kindness, and hopefully they will let their guard down. Then share from how you feel in humility." That's some serious advice.
Yeah, that's it. Couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah,
That's some serious advice.
that's beautiful.
I want to ask you a question.
As you're thinking about that question, people have said that they
What
are.
question?
As you're thinking about the question that
Oh,
you're thinking about, people have said that they are blessed by your testimony, by what you've been sharing with us for the past couple of weeks. A couple of people have said the same situations happened to them. And thank you for answering the questions that you've answered so far. They've said that as well. Thank you.
Of course.
This is your last week of this series, right? Let's go out with a nice romantic bang. Whether you want it or not. Who is Adrian to you?
Woo!
He's my life partner, man. He's like we're on this journey. We're just walking down this road together, and we're facing all the conflict together. We're facing the blessings together. He's my life partner.
Cool. Tara's my best friend, my quarantine partner, my dancing partner.
You say dance?
My dancing partner.
Yeah, we do have moments where we
just
put on some
groove
music
out.
and just groove out.
She's my walking partner, my driving partner, my singing partner. She's also a good listener. As men, we don't often talk,
Me?
but when I do, she's there to listen. And she knows the right time to. Sometimes she's a bit off, but when it's the right time to talk, and I want to talk, then she'll listen. So yeah, she's my listening partner. So yeah, my dog.
I think you can tell that Adrian's the more romantic one out of us. I'm like my life partner.
As long as you don't call her even buddy, then you're all right.
Exactly.
Or pal. Then you're fine. Pal. That was on our Married at First Sight. Okay. Okay, pal. Okay, pal.
Yeah.
And your pal. I want you to not.
No. Sorry. No, let me go back. I'm finished.
No, go on then.
All right, Tara,
go on then, pal. That one's stuck bad.
Oh, okay. Oh. Tara, I'll ask you again then. Who is Adrian to you?
Okay, if we're gonna do this. Adrian is my protector. He is my defender, which is the same as protector, but hey, 2 words. He is my safe place when the world doesn't make sense. I run it to him. He's my comfort. He is my life partner. He's also my best friend. He's all of that and above. I don't really have a romantic bone in my body, but I don't want to say my world because I make it very clear to not put him before God. God always comes first. But after God is him all the time. We're around each other every single day, all day. If Adrian says, all right, babe, I'm just going to go, like today, I had an eye appointment. And he was like, right, babe, I'm going to drop you home and then see if there's a car wash. And I was like, no, why are you coming home? I want to come. Just because I'm around him. So I'm he's my Velcro. He's my Velcro, So yeah.
No, that was heavily romantic. You can't underrate what you're saying. You was romantic at the first, it's just your way of putting it. But I just wanted to hear more, really.
I'm going to squeeze you a little bit more and not ask you to tell us anything, but to tell each other and finish in the sentence, I love you because. Don't even look at the camera. Just look at each other.
Forget that the whole planet is watching.
Oh gosh.
What's up in your face?
Okay, go on. Thanks.
You go first.
No, you go
Ladies
first.
first. Go
No,
on.
husband first. Go on.
Husbands.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do you remember what the question was?
I love you because
Mhm.
I love you
Mm.
because even in my mistakes, you allow me to make the mistakes sometimes. without persecution,
Mhm.
but you do love me through my mistakes.
Mm.
So I do appreciate you for that.
Okay, so I love you. How you gotta look at me?
Yeah.
I love you because you are very patient
Mm.
and understanding with me. There's not many people that can deal with Tara. You
This
know
is true.
me.
This is true.
I can be a lot, but you never leave my side or give up on me. So I love you for that.
Well, this is a game of tennis, so back at you, Adrian. I mean, the camera's still rolling. Yeah. I love Tara because
I love you. I'm talking to you.
Talk to her. Talk to her.
don't tell me, bro. Don't tell me.
Say it.
As married.
I love you truly, really and truly and really. I love you because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have Meet the Thorpes. We would have. I'm not a person to
Step out your comfort
to step
zone.
out comfort in my out of my comfort zone. The last year, you have really challenged me and made me confident in what we have and what people see us as.
Mm.
Whereas I'm just thinking this is just normal to us, or what we go through is normal. But you've definitely allowed me to see that what we have is something special, and there's a lot more to come. So yeah, I thank you, and I love you for that.
Mm. Thanks. I guess I'm saying it back, right?
Of course.
Sorry, no drinking water.
No? Okay.
No, not whilst I let my heart out.
Cool.
I love you because you have become. I get very overworked about things. I.e., today there was a situation and I've stressed about it. I've cried about it. I've slept because I was so stressed about it. And you have. I don't know what it is about you, but you're like a cooling agent. Do you know what I mean? You're like a cooling agent. And I love you because you're able to pour water in my situations when I feel like I'm burning up. As soon as I start to get hot, it's like you just dash water on me really quickly. And I love you for that because you not many people can do that. And that is skills right there, bro. That's skills.
I'm a fire extinguisher.
You are for me because I'm a fire. So yes.
We're gonna let you finish the rest of camera, and we won't be watching. Trust me. You get me? We will not be watching.
That will get
unless you forget to exit this thing.
That will get the view.
Exactly.
If you want subscribe,
You could forget to exit, and you could increase your following by continuing the love. But we want to thank you guys. I mean, we have grown with you for the past 5 weeks. It says part 4 here, but it's actually part 5. So if you've missed part 1 to 4, you can go back on This Is Marriage UK or on that Little Black Book or on Meet the Thorpes to rewatch anything that you've missed. And it's been worth our time. It's been worth going through your journey of infertility, going through working through storms, going through how you got together and your story, even on learning how you made it through the pandemic, through the past year. Do you know what I mean? It's real. So I really want to thank you. I don't think Kodjo's dipped. I think there's some technical issues. He's still kind of there. But yeah, Adjoa just ending and just to encourage you. She says, I'm subscribed. I'm subscribing for sure. I love the transparency and the honesty and the testimonies. I just love it. God continue to bless you so you can be a blessing to everyone you touch.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that. And we are making a point now. You know, we went a bit quiet on YouTube the last couple of weeks, and we've kind of just been jigging what our page is all about. And, you know, you will have the pranks and it will be the funny stuff and the challenges. But I think it's very important to go back to what we were doing in the beginning and having these serious conversations. So as much as you'll find jokes and laughs over there, we're starting to introduce more serious conversations now. And yeah, we love you guys so much. Honestly,
100%.
This is Marriage UK. You guys, literally meeting you guys on social media was a blessing to us.
Yeah, 100%.
And I pray
Definitely.
that this isn't the end for us as a collective, and that we'll do many more of these on camera and off camera personally.
Can't wait till lockdown shut down.
Yeah, and then we can meet up. And thank you again to Little Black Book for allowing us to be on his platform as well. And yeah, we appreciate every single one of you, man. And our YouTube is Meet the Thorpes. It's Meet the Thorpes across the board.
TikTok, Instagram,
everything.
YouTube,
everything. Yeah.
We appreciate you guys big time, man. We appreciate you big time. It's such a blessing.
Oh, God bless you. You don't know how you've poured back into us and you've brought the youth back out of us. So we really just want to thank you. We just want to thank you for what you've imparted back to us. You know what I mean? Yeah, the YouTubers, as Tara said, is Meet the Thorpes, and This is Marriage UK on YouTube and Instagram as well. We have conversations like this on a regular with different people, married, single, divorced. Don't think that you are excluded because you're not married. We have conversations if you're living, breathing, and have his being. So please, you know what I mean? Hit us up on our inbox and we will have you on. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to let you guys know April is a packed month. We'll be here twice a week on Little Black Book on our own channel. And we will have the Thorpes back at some point by hook or by crook.
What are we talking about in April?
In April, we've got a 3-part series at the very least from the 13th of April. Our sexual healing. So guys from the US who are going to talk about it.
Yeah.
From a personal perspective. It's going to be quite deep. So that's on the Tuesdays. And then we have some really intense. They're all intense.
They're all intense. If you know, I don't know if you know Christian hip hop, Stephen the Levi is the other half of our sexual healing, and they also have a great podcast that his wife leads with conversations around sex, improving sex, around sexual experiences, trauma and sex, or everything sex. So we're doing that in April. So you have to stay close just to get better at it.
And just so you know, Kojo is there. He's working out. I'm just saying. He's at the gym. But that's all good, man. We have an arrangement. So he's not going to like that I exposed him. But that's what we do sometimes, man. But thank you. The topic sounds interesting. It will be, man. Thank you, guys. Look, let's leave it there.
Like, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. And thank you, guys, for your love and your support. And we will speak to you soon. See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
Oh, no Thursday this week?
No.
See you next Tuesday then.
God bless people.
Bye.
Bye.